Today's video is going to be a little bit different as you're going to watch me going through an audit process for a couple seven-figure plus e-commerce brands that had planned to hop on a webinar that I was actually recording in collaboration with Replo, a software solution to build landing pages for Shopify brands. So with that said, some of the brand owners were not able to attend the call, and I just went ahead and recorded an audit of some of their ads, giving them advice. So you're gonna see in today's video exactly the advice that I've given them, and hopefully you can take away something out of it and implement some of this feedback in your own brand. So with that being said, have a great video, enjoy, talk soon. Hey guys, we missed a few of you on today's Facebook ads creative audit call, so I just went ahead and as some of you guys use your email in your sign up that you did for the events, I just basically typed in your domain and pulled up your website. So let's get started with Sacred Ritual, which is the first one that I have opened up right here. By the way, I'm super curious. I haven't really looked into the brand yet, but I don't know if you guys are based out in France. I know in California because my first language is actually French, and Rituel is ritual in French. So was curious to know that, but let's go ahead and take a look at your ads right here. All right, so there's gonna be a common piece of feedback recurring for a lot of you guys that had when looking at your ads. One of this for you right here, Stefan, is actually about pain points. So in one of your videos, and it's about this one, about this lady talking about having an active lifestyle, and then she gets right into talking about accidents that she had while surfing. So with that said, the biggest lever that you should be pulling with your ads that I'm not really seeing across any of this right here is you need to be tapping into your pain points of your audience more. So one thing I always tell people, and this is advice that I think will go for anybody watching this room right now, this advice is about when should you be using desires versus when you should be using pain points. A lot of the time there is a desired situation and you can choose to either pull somebody closer to that desire, or if there's a desired situation, there's also an undesired situation, and you can also pull somebody away from this undesired situation, and usually the latter is stronger. So let me try and pause this loop and show you an ad that reflects that. So here's an ad that I had found from Birds Apparel, which is honestly very, very good. It talks about like this traditional hat you would have, how it's like soggy, it's just takes up the water. It's not cool, and it's just not fun to have it on the field. And then it switches to their hat, which is water resistant. It doesn't get too soggy with the rain. It's not like super heavy to have on your head. But the start of this video, again, is as it says right here, your hat's starting to be beat up, it's losing its shape, or holds onto water like a sponge. It starts with the pain from the start, right? It's like you would most likely want to buy their hat because you can resonate with the problem that the hat is fixing, not from the desired state. What if the same video started from this right here? Because they could have done the same thing. They could have started the video exactly like the second half of it. Our hat is water resistant, right? It could have shown the water being dropped on the hat itself, and then afterward could have shown the problem itself, which was like, this is your soggy hat, this is ours, right? A lot of businesses usually do that. It's like first start with the desire, then move into the problem, then back to the desire. I believe flipping that around is going to be a lot more effective. Now, this one, I would probably start it straight with the bad accident. Like, I had a bad accident, and maybe, I don't know if that person would be open to going more in depth, but I think it could be good to either show pictures of that bad accident, of that bad scar, like show that from the start. Because look, something like this right here, who would you want to appeal to? You want to appeal to somebody who had an accident, right? And what better way to do that than be quote unquote graphic? Obviously with Facebook ads, you have to be careful, but if you show a picture of potentially the injury that this woman had, you can blur it out and show it very quickly on screen. Like while she talks, you have a picture kind of slowly appearing on screen and zooming in. Again, instead of saying, I have an active lifestyle, to start straight with, I had an injury because of my active lifestyle. So that way it starts with the pain, then leads into the problem itself, and then into the solution that is your product. So I would just slightly change the way that you present this ad right here. And overall, it's the first pick I would apply to your ads. The second tip that I have for you is pacing. All of your videos are quite slow. They're quite very slow pace. If you listen to the sound, it's quite relaxing. It almost makes me think of kind of giving me a yoga vibe. And although this might be good for branding, I believe that it does negatively impact your ads. A lot of the people that will be seeing your ads are used to just scrolling very quickly on the feed. If you're not really stopping it and having a pattern stopper or scroll stopper, it's not really going to convert well. Nobody's really going to pay attention to the ads. So that's something that I would really incentivize you to pay some attention to. So pacing, I think, needs some work in most of your videos. Other thing that I would also recommend, maybe you're already doing it, because as an example, this ad, I see 3 ads use this creative in text. So good for you. You might just be able to ignore this next piece of advice. But one of the advice I would give you is videos like this. You seem to be reusing, by the way, that woman a couple of different times. So I would actually just split test the hooks of that video. So in one, or my last call actually that we had, let me try and bring this up on screen. There you go. I was showcasing the way that we structure our ads at the agency, which usually we're going to have 1 DCT for a desire and straight get into 3 variations to test creative-wise, which usually all of these creative variations are about the visual hook or text. I do think it's something that could be good on your side, like what I'm telling you about starting straight from the pane could be something great to test on your end. And considering that this woman comes back a lot, I'm just going to make a safe assumption that you've tested this video and that she's probably a great creator. So in that case, then I would, and again, I might be completely wrong. I don't know much about the brand of the state. That could be the owner, it could be somebody you guys are working with. So feel free to correct me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your comment in this Slack thread that I'm going to be posting this little video to. But yeah, if you tested this creator and she works well, then try and exploit that as much as possible and get more variations in, and more specifically split test your books. Something that we always do for our creators right now with the rise of AIs, we use ChatGPT to generate ad scripts, which I think could be a great way for you to not only save time, send those out to this creator, considering that, again, I'm just assuming that she's a good performer, and get more hooks variations out of her. I think it could be good for you guys to test. Not only more hooks, but also when she talks about a bad accident, we see pictures of her right here surfing. I think it would be good to also split test that, because that's within the first 3 seconds. Your first 3 seconds is your hook. So I'd say here you probably have a lot to play. And as you're in these same 3 seconds, you're showing these 2 photos. Maybe don't change the hook, but change these photos. I think this could also be a good element for you to split test that specific video. Last piece of feedback I'm going to give you is analyzing this creator right here. You do test a visual hook, as I can see, but it's honestly quite slow to come up on screen. I would probably have that all written on screen from the start. Right now, it's just because your text is so big on there that it does take a big portion. I'll probably going back to this right here. Those are examples of videos that we split tested. Just add like a banner here at the top, or maybe like one big blurb on screen that has your entire text. Could be good because, again, you want to hook people. And if I go back to your ad library, you've taken more than 4 seconds right here to basically almost 5 seconds at this point. Yeah, almost 5 seconds to show the entire hook, which that, again, usually you don't want it to be more than 3 seconds, but ideally everything needs to be visible as soon as the video starts. I said it was that last piece of feedback, but I've just thought of another one. Maybe something you can also split test that we love to do sometimes is, again, I'm just going to assume that this video performs good because you're using it so much. If it does, also another test for you to do is thumbnail testing. So if you're running a video, something that you can do is change the thumbnail. Some people don't have autoplay on their feed. So as they're scrolling, your video won't start playing from the start. So the thumbnail is still quite important because that will treat this like a YouTube video, right? If the thumbnail is bad of a YouTube video, people won't watch the video. And usually, assuming a video autoplays, then you don't have to worry about the thumbnail. But then it's like, if the start of the YouTube video is boring, nobody is going to watch the entire video. It's just the same thing for you. The start of your ad is boring, which is your hook. People won't watch. So in that case, you still have to worry about thumbnail. And I think thumbnail is a good thing that you should be testing on your side. Now, moving on to the second business right here, bristle health. So with that said, I incentivize you to watch the upcoming audits I'm going to do, and the previous one also that I did. You might learn something in there. So I think it's going to be of value to you. But with that said, let me open up your Facebook ads library and look at your ads. All right, so just took a look at your ad. I only see 7 running right now. So it feels like maybe you are in a transitional phase because there's not a lot of ads currently being running. But I can still give you advice about the current ads and give you potential ideas about stuff to test. First thing is, most of your ad creatives are very short. We're talking like 6 to 10 seconds. Usually you would want to have an ad that is at least 15 seconds, ideally 30 seconds or 1 minute. Because if you do a 30-second ad, as an example, if you look at the story placement, a story is traditionally 15-second ad can fit in its entirety on one story. Therefore, if you record a 30-second or 60-second ad, you can cut it into 15-second segments for story placements. So that helps. Or if you are just running it as a general feed placement, then it's good to have a bit of a longer video, because that in itself, usually a feed video that somebody would see organically is much longer than that anyways. So that's the first thing. Now, one good thing I'm going to say though about your ads is this hook. I thought it was great, honestly. So I don't know if you can see it, but basically sugar bugs poop in your mouth. That's actually a pretty good hook. So I think this is a very interesting concept right here. One thing I would recommend, you might already be doing it, but as I shared a couple times now my DCT structure, I would recommend probably the same exact video, because assuming that this girl is in a few of your videos, probably she performs good. Try some different hooks, because she's not talking at all. So if I was you right here, I would split this like dozens of different punchy / funny hooks like that. I think you seem to be like a very fun brand. So if you are and you're open to testing some of these, then definitely I would say just go crazy with your different hooks right there. And the way that you would bottle it up is you would have one DCT per concept, right? So we could have one here. This one is about sugar bugs, right? We could have one concept that is about sugar bugs, and within that same DCT that you would see right here, the way that we structure ads at the agency, you could have 3 creatives inside of it, all 3 of the same woman right here, all 3 about sugar bugs, but all 3 with a different hook in regards to sugar bugs, right? So sugar bugs, poop in your mouth is like one of them. There could be, again, a few more right here. Now, this other one right here might be working very, very good, but I am just going to throw a little bit something. I've usually noticed that if you're calling out a problem off the start like that, it just doesn't convert as well, because you are attacking a problem that the audience may not even want to admit to themselves. And if you look at the desires of your potential audience as an example, right, you usually would be able to find a bunch of these desires, like the desire of, in this case, right, bad breath. Usually the desire of your audience could just be that they want to find better mates, right? Or they actually want to be able to pull girls, pull men, right? They just want to be able to date. That's a true desire. What will they tell people, right? That's, well, I want to find a partner. What won't they tell? They won't tell people they have a bad breath. And what can they tell? Are ashamed that they have a bad breath and that they're going to be repulsive to other people. So if you look into that right here, you're calling out a problem that is so deep within people that they might not even want to admit it to themselves. And that's a bit of an issue, right? You yourself, if you had bad breath, would you respond to an ad that told you like bad breath is like, oh yeah, that's me. Yay, I want to buy this product. Like, you're probably not really excited about the fact that you have bad breath. So usually I think it's going to be better under a video format like this to showcase scenarios that would affect your life if you had bad breath, right? So I don't know if your audience is more female or male based, because right here, it's hard to tell just with ads, to be quite honest with you. Sometimes some people will use more female in ads for a female audience. Other times people will still use female in ads, but to attract more men. So it depends. But with that being said, I think that right here, what I would recommend in your case is to have a video that's going back to the desires that I shared earlier. If the desire is to find a mate, as an example, or to date, like it might just be a very strong desire to your audience, as an example. And I'm just throwing that as an idea right here. You could have how bad breath affects dating, right? And it's like, it could start with a date, and then it's like a woman, she's like, oof, you know, what was the smell? And it leads into your product, right? Something like that. So, or you could even kind of quote unquote fake or act through some form of UGC piece where you have a couple essentially where they're talking about their first date and how other person breath was smelling kind of bad. And then finally they discovered X product and it's solved their issue. So your ads talk a lot about breath and they talk about kind of the mouth itself. But I feel like we're missing something punchy. Like we're missing the point right here. I said to the previous brand, and I think I'm going to say the same thing to you. You don't talk enough about the pain points itself. Like I think, again, bad breath is a good one, but I don't think it's strong enough. Like you have to make it visual and visually graphic why you need to take care of your oral health. Because I think it's probably the same reason why is it that not everybody goes to the dentist? You could say price, right? You could talk about the fact that it's expensive. Or you could also talk about the fact that a lot of people are uneducated about oral health. Something for you that I think could make a lot of sense is to also have educational campaigns with your ads that are a lot more awareness-based than anything else. Because this is a product that doesn't really sell itself on itself. It has a good USP for sure. Is this unique? Definitely. But it's not something that people actively seek out, right? Or something that they might even know that they have. So I love what you have right here. It's like bristles for you if you have a mouth. You have recurring symptoms or conditions, you're fed up with cavity fillings and root canals. Some of the pain points that you could talk about, right, is like, I'm just imagining a UGC piece right now of a girl. It's like, it's now the 3rd time in a year that I have to go to the dentist because I have cavities. I don't know why I'm not eating candy and I still find myself having cavities all the time. But that changed 6 months ago when I decided to take bristle, and it kind of goes on with that. Figure out the pain points. Your customers are probably always going to the dentist at this point. You're trying to solve that, right? They're probably getting told by their mate or their partner, like, are you tired of your girlfriend telling you that you stink? Stuff like this. Like, this is what I mean. Calling bad breath talks to you specifically. If there's a man that comes in on screen, he's like, hey man, are you tired of your wife telling you that your breath stinks? And you're like, fuck, I am. That's like a man talking to another man. It's calling out the same problem, just said differently. It's what I would recommend actually for your brand. So here are some recommendations I have based on the little amount of ads that I see right now. So let's move on to the next brand right here, Nuida, which looking at that, it doesn't seem to be in English. So I will do my best to analyze your ads. Let's just see real quick if I actually can. Maybe I can't find you actually. So let's just see real quick. I don't have it actually. Well, whoever is responsible for Nuida, if you're looking in this room, by all means, reply back to this Slack message with your Facebook Ads Library link, and I'll be more than happy to review it. Now, Charlie Ray, that's an interesting one. I looked at it earlier actually before a scheduled call time. I was excited to look into this one specifically, but let's get it open right here. Child clothing is a very hard niche to be in. We've advertised child clothing for quite a few brands, but I'm not gonna lie, it's a hard one because you're not advertising to the kid, you're advertising to the parents. And usually it's not parents, it's to the moms. This is usually who you're trying to attract. And there's only two ways to do it. You either need to show very cute kids that the mom could relate to and want their kids to look like that. So it's a lot about how beautiful the actual child models are in the ads. Or it's also about showing a mom and her kid together and kind of the happiness that the mom is feeling because of how either good her kid look or how well dressed they are, and kind of convey that to the mom on the other side of the screen. So with that said, seems like right here, the angle that you've approached, or the only angle that I see, really is about showing child pictures. We've had a brand that we actually did very good with UGC for children, actually. So that was a brand, they were advertising in the US and Middle East market, so Dubai and stuff, because believe it or not, by the way, I don't know which market you're selling into, but in my experience, there's a big market in Dubai itself for child's clothing. Families over there spend a lot of money on good quality clothes for their kids. We're talking $10,000 orders. Like there's a very big market for that over there. So interesting for you to look into if you did not know that already. But one thing I would strongly incentivize you to look into right here is to look into doing UGC for your brand. So actually doing the mom itself, like receiving the package. Think of yourself as a mom. What would a mom want their kids to have with their clothing? First of all, clothing that lasts a while, right? A kid can grow into specific clothes. That's an angle you can tap into. Again, I'm talking about desires here, but always be mindful that desires can be reversed so that you can talk about a pain point. If somebody can grow into their clothing, that therefore means that on the other side of it, they probably experience other brands which they don't allow any really upsize in sizes, right? That's something to be mindful of. So with that said, growing into clothing is a big one. Then ease of washing, like super washable materials. We know it, kids dirty themselves all the time, either by playing, by eating, or whatever. So your materials is a great one to do that. Right here, all I see is as if you're selling to a very, very highly aware audience. Because marketing right here, you're selling, right? And I want you to be mindful of that. Out of all the brands that I've seen today, you're not tacking into pain points, into desires, into anything of the audience. It's like, here's the product, buy it. That's about it, right? I would really incentivize you to look deep into the desires of your audience. List out potential desires as a mom, right? I want something that's easy to clean. I want something that my child can grow into. I want other moms to tell me that my kid looks good. Talking about all the deep desires that a woman would usually have for their children. And because I'm just assuming that 99% of the time, all the brands that we've advertised for kids, primarily women. It's about 80% or more women that buy these products. So with that said, I think in this, you have a lot of work to do in terms of researching the audience itself. Because for me, it just looks like you've taken your product shots, you just throw them on an ad with whatever the collection is about, which, look, don't get me wrong, I've seen fashion brands performing pretty good with that, but it's going to dramatically enhance your performance if you're taking the actual time to research your audience and to really call them out and solve the problem with your products. That's one thing that I say I've had a lot to tell fashion brand owners. Most fashion brand owners are like, well, I'm not like a tech brand, or I'm not like a skincare brand. I don't really solve a problem. It's clothing. Clothing still solves a problem. It's not because other businesses out there have the same problem as you that they're solving, or it's not because it's a common problem that you're still not solving a problem. Branding is very important for a fashion brand, but branding mixed with problem solving is the best. Branding alone won't really sell your clothes, but branding mixed with the appropriate problem solving will be good. Okay. We have a brand at the agency who sells 70s clothing. What we always tell them is how can we best make sure that we're solving problems through that? It might be hard to find 70s clothing nowadays, right? You have to go to in-person thrift shops, right? So all angles, like tired of having to go to your local garage sale to get your hands on 70s clothing, get your hands on new clothes with X brand, right? Or in our case, it could also be something about, again, going back to 70s clothing, going to garage sales and stuff. It's all used clothing. Tired of having to put your hands on thrift shop clothing or a garage sale, like old, used, dirty clothes. Get your hands on new clothing, right? It's a lot of that stuff that we can tap into for this brand. For yours, I'm sure you have similar angles that way that you can do on your side, okay? Last one is Aloha, actually right here. That's submitted the brand for the call. So what I want to do right here is just open up your ads library, same thing right here, and just get into your brand analysis. So this is for Bobby. So Bobby, if you want to take a look at this one right here, I was honestly also very much looking forward to speaking to you on this call, because looking into the brand itself, you had the most amount of ads live out of all the brands that's submitted their ads, which allowed me to actually go a little bit deeper into insights. So first and foremost, I want to say you do have a pretty good strategy. I don't think anything I'm going to say in this video is probably going to 10x your performance, but there are micro improvements that I want to talk about. The main, I think, comment point that I've talked to a lot of people in today's Loom is about the pain points that are not being tapped enough with your ads. So here, you're talking about it a lot in your copy, but high in protein, low in sugar. And if I start these, it's like, here's those high protein bars that I just got my hands on, or here's these low sugar bars that I had my hands on. I would love for you to start these same videos with the exact opposite of that. It's like you start with a traditional bar, maybe a Cliff bar, a bar from a competitor, right? You start with that and you're like, aren't you tired of feeling bloated and eating all this sugary stuff found in your protein bars? This bar is low in carbs, low in sugars, high in protein. So you get the protein without having the downside you would get during the afternoon, right? Your afternoon down. This is like a very rough idea that just came on top of my head right now. Feel free to expand on that. But most of your videos, I feel like the hooks are definitely not strong enough. That's my biggest thing I would say to you across every single one of your videos, is that it's not strong enough at the start, or at least most of them. Because that video with this girl comes back a lot. Like there's a lot of variations on there. My guess is that's probably a winning video right here that you're testing out. I also see that I think you're doing some tests with thumbnails for the same girl. So kudos on you. Testing thumbnails is a great way for you to actually figure out or help your ad performance once you've had a winning ad. Because I'm looking into all of your hooks, like this one. It starts with like, ooh, right? And it's like the person's tasting the bar, it tastes good. It's, as mentioned with another brand earlier, you're all like bringing people closer to the desire rather than pulling them away from what they don't want. Figure out what your audience really wants. Is it to lose weight? Is it to get something tasty? Is it to eat a guilt-free snack? I think that's a big one, right? A guilt-free snack. Is it to get, I don't know if you have, I believe that it's all plant-based, right? But I believe from looking into your website, I might be completely wrong, by the way, but I think you have some chocolate flavors. So looking into that, it's like, don't you want to eat chocolate, but without feeling guilty about it, right? Or eat chocolate without the weight that comes with it. There's a bunch of these desires. All you're doing here is you're pulling people closer to these desires. It's get towards a tastier bar. Get towards a healthier option. Get towards a better snack. Get towards a plant-based option. How about the opposite? Get away from a bad tasting bar, right? Get away from the unwanted fat that you currently have because of your unhealthy eating habits. Get away from food that tastes great but actually isn't great for your body, and instead eat food that tastes even better and is good for your body. So it's pull people away from their pain points, rather than pulling them closer to their desires. I think this is my biggest piece of feedback across all that you have. And if you haven't seen that, I've shown that to another brand earlier in this audit, but I was looking at that golf hats ad, which was like, does your hat look a little bit beat up? Is it starting to lose its shape? Is it also maybe now sogging with water? And then it switches to their product, which is waterproof. It's easy to clean, all these kinds of things, right? Looks good, fit is great. That's it. They could have started the video just with that, which is kind of the same thing that you're doing, right? They could have started the video with waterproof hat, water resistance. Do you want to find a hat for your next golf game that is going to be fitting you like a charm, going to last no matter the weather? They could have started with that. But instead it's this is the current state of your hat. This is why you need our hat, right? Same thing with your bar. I think you have such a good USP with your bar. It's a very unique product. So go away from that. Traditional bar, why it sucks than yours. Traditional desire that the woman has, or because I say woman because you have a lot of women in your ads actually. So I'm guessing that it's a lot for women. You have, I think, 2 to 3 ads that have men. So I'm just going to assume that you sell a lot more to women. But yeah, it's basically just go pull people away from what they don't want instead of pulling them closer from what they want. Same thing as you. I always tell people, it's would you rather your car perform better or not go to the garage because your car broke down? Or would you rather your car perform better or not have it break down in the middle of the highway? You probably don't want it to break down in the middle of the highway. That desire is stronger than wanting it to perform better. So in its case, is tap on that. It's what you have as an opportunity for a low money.